I always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire. What is up, beautiful bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. I am your host, Bump. We give a take on all things here. This is a podcast premised off the fact that I am somebody who would take a nice break at work, as anybody would, in the bathroom, and scroll through social media for a minute. And Twitter being my social media of choice, I had the opportunity to bookmark threads that I go, oh, this might be interesting. I'll read that later. And I was the type of guy who never got around to later. So, this is later. The Bookmarks with Bump podcast. That's how it all started. Let's dive into it. I hope everybody's year is off to a hot start. Not as hot as Los Angeles, California, but just a little less hotter than that. I'm not going to address any tragedy or controversy this week. We've done that too much this year, and I have some pretty cool threads to get into. So I'm just going to, as I have been all along, send thoughts and prayers out to those affected, joke about it because that's what I do to get by, and keep it pushing. So here we are. We are on the 31st episode of Bookmarks with Bump, and time just keeps on slipping. What I mean by that is I came across a thread put out by Sherifidine. Hey, Sherifidine. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that name right. That is quite the name. At 22, I thought I had time. By 32, I learned the hard way. Time is the only thing that you can't get back. Here's what I would wish I'd known a decade ago. Thread goes on to say, thinking solves nothing, action changes everything. 2. Comparing your journey to others will paralyze you. Focus on your path. 3. Your circle will make or break you. Choose people who challenge you. 4. Assume the person you're listening to knows something you don't. They often do. 5. Your 20s are free time you can never get back. Spend it building, not drifting. 6. Skills will pay for your dreams. Start learning before it's too late. Absolutely true. This is what I say to everybody who asks me if I like my job. I like my job because of what it does. It is a necessary tool in my life to provide the resources I need to do all of the things that I want to do. Run in races, play golf at different courses, push myself and better myself in every single way possible that I can. It gives me the chance to have the resource necessary, which is money, to put myself in a better position to do that. Whether it's groceries, whether it's, like I said, signing up for races or gym memberships, the equipment, clothes, shoes, whatever it is that you need, that's what your job is for you. That's why it's important to have a skill. Going to school and getting a degree, and if it's a skill-based degree where you are going to be in a specialized section of the population, that's awesome. Trades, it's great. I'm happy. I'm very grateful that I was able to be gifted this opportunity to be a tradesman, and growing in that skill has done nothing but provide me what I need to pay for my dreams. Assume the person you're listening to knows something you don't. You can't just disregard everything. When somebody's teaching you or taking their time on you, giving you their time, cherish that. Thinking solves nothing, action changes everything. Yeah, you can sit around and ponder about it, which is what he means in the free time you can never get back, building, not drifting, the same thing. Like, when you're thinking, you have all this time thinking about the things you want to do. You have all the time that you need to do it. All you need to start to build a skill is 30 minutes a day. And 30 minutes a day, you can find that anywhere. The thread goes on to say 7, say yes to life in your 20s. Say no to distractions in your 30s. 8, people will forget your mistakes, but never your character. Guard it fiercely. Don't lose yourself over a mistake. Things happen in life, and you can get past them.
growing from mistakes is a much bigger character trait than making a mistake in the first place. Take it from me, somebody who made a lot of mistakes. 9, you can party your nights away or build your future, not both. And one takes from the other, 100%. But life is full of sacrifices. Are they worth it? Is sacrificing a prosperous future worth having the time of your life for 10 years? Think about that. That's something that I never really thought of when I was partying and wasting away. Never thought about my future at all. I never really thought about the present either. I was just trying to get fudged up. Let's see. 10, ignored red flags in relationships will destroy you. Walk away early. 11, work without purpose feels like slow death. Find meaning or leave. Find meaning, and whether that's creating the mental acrobatics needed to say that your job gives you the resources that you need to pay for your dreams, go for it. That can be your purpose moving forward. It's taking care of the things that you want to take care of and doing it any way that you need to. 12, when somebody trusts you, prove them right every time. Keep your word every single time. I often say as a man, all we have is our balls and our word. And that is true. All we have is our word. A calm response to criticism is the only option. Calm will earn you respect, rage won't. It's okay to be wrong. That's really where you learning and grow, is from making mistakes. That's why it's not a bad thing to make a mistake. That's why it's great to recover from them. You learn every time you fail. We've talked about that time and time on the podcast. If you're angry, speak in person or stay silent. Never email, never message. Don't let everything that you're thinking out, because thoughts are oftentimes intrusive, and there are many times you have thoughts that you don't mean. And when you just let it all out and you just have word vomit when you're upset, you're going to hurt people. Take a chance to speak in person so you can gauge the reaction, know when you're pushing your limits. Always speak in person. Gossip makes you look small. Don't shrink yourself. 16, asking for help shows strength, not weakness. People respect it. Asking for help is also asking to learn. And if you're looking to learn, you're moving and trending in the right direction. It's okay to ask for help. Pride can kill. 17, most conflict stems from confusion, not cruelty. Clear the air. It's okay to have these hard conversations. If somebody that you want to criticize has an objection to your criticism, that shows a lot about where they should stand in your life. Especially if it's something that's reasonable. If you have a reasonable criticism about somebody, you should have the free rein to air that. And if that person respects you, they'll heed to that. If you don't control your story, others will rewrite it. Take the pen and make it undeniable. That's really what you should be doing here. Writing your story isn't just putting words in people's mouth. It's being who you say you are. Or not saying who you are at all and just being. 19, hire people you admire and get out of their way. If you took somebody and you recruited somebody for a purpose in your life, you did that for a reason. Trust your judgment. Drama doesn't fix itself. End it fast or it will spread. 21, learn to teach yourself. Learn to teach yourself. Learn to teach yourself. 22, life will surprise you. Build a plan that bends, not breaks. There is no perfect plan. Absolutely not. You can have an idea. I say it's better to have ideas about where you want to go in life than having a plan. Because if something throws you off course, all you're going to think about is the plan. If you have your idea, you have something that you can hang on to. No matter what life throws at you, you still have the idea of how things are going to work out in the end. 23, energy is contagious. Spend time with people who light you up. 24, if you're frustrated, speak up. Silence is a bomb. 25, being bad at something isn't failure. Saying bad is. Improve. 26. Saying yes to everyone is saying no to yourself. Stop. 27. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Work out as if your life depends on it. 28. Money comes and goes, time doesn't. Spend it wisely. 29. Chronic complainers are dead weight. Drop them. 30. Risks taken young will build courage for life. Don't hold back. Losing everything, even once, is the best courage teacher. 31. The less you speak, the more people listen. 32. Perfect is a lie. Done is real. Start now. We'll move on to the next thread, Brain Freeze, by the Darshak Rana? The Darshak Rana. Okay. Darshak Rana. Welcome to the podcast. Mind bending. A scientist created a tank to turn off reality. He stayed in it for 48 hours with no light, no sound, no gravity. What he discovered? The CIA classified it as too dangerous for humanity. That scientist was Dr. John C. Lilly. He pioneered research into the mind's potential and believed we could tap into higher levels of consciousness. So he built a strange device to test his theories, the sensory deprivation tank. But he had no idea what was coming next. In the tank, Lilly floated in body temperature salt water. I think that's a typo. Way to go, Darshak. In the tank, Lilly floated in... I keep reading it as it's written. Lilly floated in body temperature salt water with complete darkness. No sensation, no noise, just his thoughts. What he experienced was beyond anything science could explain. His mind seemed to expand outward, as if leaving his body. He called it the province of the mind. Hours passed, but time felt different. Lilly noticed his mind drifting, untethered by time or space. He described a sense of vastness, a cosmic connection. It was as if the boundaries of self dissolved, leaving pure awareness. Then something unexpected happened. The CIA caught wind of his work. Why? They believed if the consciousness could be altered, it could be weaponized. They quietly funded his research, seeing an opportunity to shape minds. But they weren't interested in peace, they wanted control. Oh, so you're telling me the CIA wanted to mind control people? In the 50s. I wonder if that's something that ever changed. 54, this was going on. All right, but Dr. Lilly wanted to push the limits. To understand the true nature of consciousness, he began combining sensory isolation with psychedelics. Oh, what a perfect marriage. And to understand the true nature of consciousness, he began combining sensory isolation with psychedelics. He was convinced that these altered states could unlock hidden potential in all of us. The results were shocking. Inside the tank, he experienced cosmic consciousness. He could access different dimensions and talk to different species. He felt his mind stretch beyond physical limits, tapping into what he called the universal mind. The sensory deprivation tank became a gateway. It inspired new fields of study, lucid dreaming, astral projection, mind expansion. Lilly's findings attracted both admirers and skeptics, but the question remained, could ordinary people harness this power? Lilly realized that altering consciousness wasn't just for scientists. Anyone willing to confront their inner self could experience breakthroughs. 50 years later, now we use the tank for therapy, self-discovery, even to explore the nature of reality itself, but it came with risks. Subjects reported a strange phenomenon, a feeling of rebirth. Some said they'd face parts of themselves they'd long buried. Others had visions that changed them forever, facing fears, traumas, and desires. Neuroscience confirms that isolation tanks create theta state, enhanced neuroplasticity, deep consciousness access. For Lilly, the tank wasn't about isolation, but something else. My 3 takeaways on what it means to me and how it changes our understanding of our minds. The mind has untapped potential. Lilly's journey shows us that our consciousness is far more expansive than we realize. Exploring inner states unlocks creativity, clarity, and insights beyond everyday awareness. Most of us only scratch the surface of our mind's power. True growth requires self-reflection. Sensory isolation uncovers ignored parts of us. Lilly's work shows growth needs self-reflection, facing fears, and self-acceptance. Through tanks or meditation, solitude benefits us all. 3. Connection begins within. In a world chasing approval, Lily discovered true peace and connection start by first embracing our own minds. Discovered true peace and connection starts by first embracing our own minds. Align with yourself and connect with others more genuinely. The journey within leads to a richer and more connected life. And it sure does. Being able to reflect on my past and reflect on my mistakes is pretty much all the fuel that I needed to become a better person in my life. I didn't do it with a sensory deprivation tank. It does seem like something I might enjoy or benefit from. It does also seem like something that kind of freaks me out a little bit. And I think that's something that I have to deal with on my own. Sometimes my own thoughts can track and wander into a place that I wouldn't necessarily say it's like scary, but it is something that's it can be overwhelming for a bit. And here's the thing, and I'm sure this is a lot of what Dr. Lily is saying here. Just getting past that and through that is something special on the other side. So maybe it's worth holding on to. Oftentimes when in my meditation, when I'm taking a moment to myself and reflecting and just kind of trying to shut my brain off, my brain always goes somewhere. And sometimes it's somewhere that's frantic. And I get away from that and I turn on a podcast, and that's when I'll go to sleep or something. But I think I have to learn what that franticism is telling me. And I think what I learned from that thread is that it's okay to kind of embrace it. My last thread that I'm going to get into here is by Divine Manhood. So all the ladies listening, all 52% of you, if I must brag, thank you for listening. Divine Manhood. I don't know how much this one is for you, but it's about addiction, so let's get into it. An addicted brain is a broken brain. If you're struggling with any addiction and want to do something about it, here's the Andrew Huberman protocol to overcome addiction. 1 in 10 adults now struggle with addiction. Mental health is getting worse. Families are broken apart. Our futures are torn. Huberman has seen firsthand how addiction destroys lives. As a trained neuroscientist, he's treated countless patients struggling with substance abuse, but the path to addiction often starts with some subtle red flags. 3 ingredients fuel addiction: genetic susceptibility, lack of healthy coping skills, and overwhelming stress. Huberman says even one factor can send an average well-educated person down this dangerous path. His example on pornography hits home for Divine Manhood. So I guess Divine Manhood's a bit of a perv, and hey, there's nothing perfect with that, and nothing evil with that either. So there are videos that go along with this thread, so as always, I would advise you to click the link in the description to follow along with me. Now that you've clicked the link and you're there, we'll continue. Addiction starts innocently. A 15-year-old can try alcohol to escape stress, numb pain, and out of curiosity even. Their brain learns that substances provide temporary relief, and a vicious cycle begins. Drugs are like a highly addictive video game. Addiction is a progression, narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. Without intervention, this path often leads to jail, overdose, or even death. Here's how to quit any addiction according to Andrew Huberman. Watch and bookmark this to refer back to it when needed. For most all addictions and for people that are suffering from mild or even severe depression related to dopamine-seeking behaviors, social media, video games, sex, food, etc. However, of course, in the instance of food or some other addictions, you can't abstain for 30 days. Try to abstain for 30 days. People can abstain for 30 days in efforts to never go back to them again. There are cases of severe alcoholism or opiate dependence where people can't go cold turkey or they risk dying, so they need to work with a physician. But the 30-day reset of the dopamine system is something that's very real and that pertains to most people, that it's going to be very effective for most people struggling with either behavioral or processes addictions. and Huberman goes on to say this in this video, but you got to try 30 days first. And throughout that 30 days, find something that rewards you. And I think that's, I think that that's something that really helped me. The last time I did any type of hard drug was September 30th. And the next day I was sent away. And I was away for more than 30 days, and I was cold turkey off of everything then. And I think that just getting the chance to play basketball or even play cards was something that was giving me dopamine. So I was triggering those dopamine receptors. I was feeling rewarded. I was feeling like I was getting something out of life. And that's really what drugs did for me. They made me feel like I was getting something out of life, when in reality, all I was doing was taking away from it. Not giving myself a chance to succeed, not giving myself a chance to be the best person that I can for the people around me. I credit so much of me getting and staying sober to getting sent away to prison. I think being locked up was something that was huge for me. Not only did I learn a sense of routine and structure, I also had a chance to stay away from everything and everybody who enabled me or everybody I wanted to impress with the wild lifestyle I was living. I was away from it. I was forced to be away from it. I always explain it like I was altering my reality, and then I was plucked out of that reality and placed into a reality that I never want to be in again. And I know that the one way that I can, it's never going to be a guarantee, but I know the one way I can do the most to stay out of that is by staying sober. And now I can attribute my dopamine coming from running. That's what really rewards me now, and running in these races and challenging myself and reaching these goals. And thank God I wouldn't be able to perform the way I do now with those types of bad habits in my life. Because Lord knows I would try. So I've replaced my dopamine. And that's what we have to do. We talked about that before when we talked about addiction in this podcast. We talked about how replacing what you're doing for dopamine is something that you need to do in order to be successful in staying sober. And Lord knows that's what I've done with plenty of things. And it gives you a new lust for life. It lets you enjoy things like,
here we go, Buck, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go,
like football. And we're talking about playoffs. Playoffs. We have playoffs all over the place. It's super wild card weekend. It's also the semifinals for the NCAA. Today is Thursday, so we'll be watching the first of the two semifinal games determining who will be playing in the NCAA National Championship January 20th. Tonight we have Penn State and Notre Dame, the 6 and 7 seed. And then tomorrow night, Texas is taking on Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Tonight's Orange Bowl will feature two teams. All right, I already said that it's the Epstein Bowl, so we don't have to get into all that. But to watch Riley Leonard leading the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Drew Adler leading the Penn State Nittany Lions, it will be an exciting game for sure. There's two great quarterbacks in this matchup. Penn State lit up Boise State 31-14, and Notre Dame beat Georgia 23-10. And it didn't really even look close for Georgia. They kind of rolled right over them. We clearly have the best teams in the semifinal in college football right now. Ohio State is playing their best football. That matchup between Ohio State and Texas is going to be something to see because they have big boys on both sides of the line. They get after the quarterback. They are nasty. They have a bunch of size. They're two of the top premier teams in college football. So to see them face off in a game that means so much, but it's not even the championship yet, it's very exciting. So we'll see tomorrow night who's going to win and take on Notre Dame, because the Nittany Lions are going down. Go Irish. Moving on from there, we have the Super Wildcard Weekend. We have great matchups in the NFL right now. Saturday, you see the Chargers taking on the Texans in Houston. Houston won the AFC South again 2 years in a row, making it into the wild card playoffs. And the Chargers are favored by 3 on the road. And that makes sense to me because the Chargers have been hot. And they're such a physical team. They're really smash mouth tough. They get after, which here's the thing is that they get after the quarterback. And to be honest, they really, the Texans really haven't been blocking well. CJ Stroud has been under a ton of pressure this year, and that's affected his play. He hasn't had the season that he did last year. He had the phenomenal rookie season, leading the Texans into the playoffs after they missed the year before that. But the Chargers come in after beating the Panthers 25-3 and the Raiders 22-10. They went out and had a chance to sharpen their sword, if we may, against the Raiders when the Texans pulled the starters after the first drive, which was an interesting move. Like I said, they needed to gain some momentum in that, and they just didn't. Last week, things didn't pan out well because the Broncos ended up winning, and so did the Dolphins, and that knocked the Bengals out of contention. The Bengals did beat the Steelers last week in Week 18 with the Steelers playing starters and trying to win that game. The Steelers have lost 4 of their last 5 games, and they're taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who have won 4 of their last 5. Including a 35-10 win over the Cleveland Browns. Pretty much a shutout against the Houston Texans where they won 31-2. They only gave up a safety. Their defense did not allow a touchdown. And a 34-17 win over the Steelers. So this is going to be an exciting game to watch because you know the Steelers are going to bring it. They need this in order to move forward. And they've been embarrassed by the Ravens this season so far. So, Zay Flowers is out for the Ravens, and that does make one heck of a difference. He is the leading receiver on the team. He garnered over 1,000 yards this season, 4 touchdowns. However, I wouldn't be too scared because you still have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that backfield. Derrick Henry himself almost eclipsing 2,000 yards this year, with 1,916 touchdowns. Najee Harris is a 1,000-yard rusher. For the Steelers, Russell Wilson comes in pretty much halfway through the season, throws for 2,500 yards. George Pickens is the question mark for me in this game. Is he going to be able to keep it together? Because he kind of got himself out of last week's game by just the way that he was upset, I guess, so to speak. It's very interesting to me how he went on to act in that. I mean, he's such a talent. He really is. And I think this is the thing with the Steelers is they always get these players who have these awesome personalities. They're not afraid to be themselves. They are unapologetically them, and they play smash mouth. But they can be a little bit of a burden to the team. And I hate to say it, but that's what George Pickens was last week against the Bengals. His head wasn't in the game. And he needs to be on his best in order for the Steelers to be at their best. Because he is, without a doubt, their most dangerous weapon. And if Russell Wilson can drop a ball in the bucket for him, he proves to be invaluable. The AFC will finish up with the early slate on Sunday. 1 p.m., the Broncos take on the Bills to determine who the winner of the Ravens and Steelers game will play, which means the Chargers and Texans are fighting for a chance to play the number 1 seed Chiefs. The Bills are favored in this game by 8, which is a big spread in a playoff game. The Broncos are a tough team, though. The Broncos are physical. The Broncos aren't afraid to get after the quarterback. They just have these dogs on their defensive line who they just have these dogs on their defensive line who have a way of being crafty and finding their way into penetration. It's kind of interesting, and I think a lot of that is because they have so much time. I mean, Patrick Surtain, the second back there, taking care of anybody's number one weapon, but they're playing Josh Allen. That's the thing you have to consider. And Josh Allen hasn't had a number one weapon all season. He's used a bevy of weapons. Their leading receiver on the team has 800 yards. And with James Cook playing the way he has, Josh Allen can do whatever he wants on the field. And that's what he's proven this year. I mean, his name is heavy in the MVP race, and that's because of that. He's got no stars to support him in his cast, but he's had one of the best seasons of his career, with the Bills going 13-4. No noticeable injuries really in this game, so we're gonna see these teams' full potential out there on the field. Up there in Buffalo, the Broncos are 3-2 in their last 5, and the Bills are also 3-2. They did rest starters. Josh Allen came in to take a snap in the Week 18 game just to keep his starting streak alive. But we'll move on to the NFC. Monday Night Football is a great matchup. We'll finish that off last. We'll start with where it all starts at 4:30 p.m. on Fox. The Packers play the Eagles in a rematch of the season opening game this year. They went down to Brazil. The Eagles closed out the Packers, and the Eagles close out the season 14-3, and the winner of the NFC East. Jalen Hurts is still, at this point, moseying on through his concussion protocol 2 weeks after getting clonked. I can't determine it. I'm not the neurologist for the team, but I can only assume that he'll be out there on the field. And that's going to be a great matchup. Like see these two teams progress through their seasons, and the Packers end up 11-6 after losing the first week. It's great to see the page turn and the Packers get another chance to fight for their way into the playoffs. And you know, the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl, they did sneak in through the wild card round, but nonetheless, Sunday Night Football is a fun, fast-paced game to watch with the Buccaneers offensive line who plays super well, and Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders supporting cast that really knows how to move the ball downfield. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 80-point game. The Buccaneers won the NFC South. The Commanders get in off the strength of their 12-5 record, and these two teams are vying for a chance to play the winner of the Eagles and Packers game, so they're going to know who they're playing heading into this game. And who knows, if it's the Commanders, they'll have a bit of an edge, a bit of motivation to get. No matter what, the motivation is there, and that's why this is the best time to watch football. The ultimate motivation is right in front of you. You're playing for the grand prize, and this is just the best teams make it. There's a reason why these teams are here. It's not much like the college football playoffs where we've seen blowout after blowout after blowout. These are going to be great competitive games. And the Monday Night Football game of Super Wildcard Weekend is playing for a chance to play the Lions, the Rams, and the Vikings. The Rams and the Vikings. The Rams won the NFC West late there in the season. That was a 3, even sometimes 4-horse race. That division was wide open, and Matthew Stafford is sneaking his way back into the playoffs to get a chance at another championship. The Rams finished pretty hot this season, and the Vikings are coming in off a loss to Detroit. But they won 4 of their last 5, including a win over Green Bay, win over the Bears, 2 divisional opponents. They had a 27-24 thriller with the Seahawks, but that all started with a 42-21 blowout of the Falcons. And the Rams, same thing, 4 of the last 5, including that game against Buffalo. That was an absolute shootout. But then they went on to have some defensively dominating games, and they have players on their team that are kind of emerging this year that is rebuilding from what they did for the Super Bowl. When they went back, you go back to 2021, when they won their Super Bowl, they kind of just unloaded. And they said, we're going to get rid of all our draft picks right now, and we're just going to get some free agents and empty our pockets and win ourselves a championship. And they did. But Aaron Donald has since retired. Leonard Floyd has moved on, but you have new players coming out into the fold. And then you have Matthew Stafford, who's just one of the toughest guys in the world. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua emerging as one of the greatest wide receivers. I mean, that's going to be a great game to watch. You have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Hopefully, they'll just be bombing the ball down the field, and we got a lot of great football to look forward to. I'm pulling for the Eagles. I'm pulling for the Ravens. I think that would be a great Super Bowl to watch. But we'll get into it week after week after week. So much is going on in the NFL. Gerard Mayo was relieved of his duties on Monday, and there's talks of Mike Vrabel coming in. And if it's anybody but Mike Vrabel, I don't know if I can be a Patriots fan anymore. I think they should have hired him last year. I think that he's a great coach. He brought the Titans to the AFC Championship a few years ago, and I mean, they lost to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Funny thing that I saw this week also was in 2019, FanDuel posted a map of the United States, who everybody is rooting for in the AFC Championship, and the whole map was the Chiefs. And just the New England portion of America was the New England Patriots. And oh, how quickly the tables have turned. And how quickly we've turned and burned through this podcast. This is the 31st episode. A lot going on this week, especially with the playoffs. Been a busy, busy boy, and I got to get back at it right now. So I'm going to say adios to you all and implore you to please hit like, please subscribe, leave a comment. I'm curious to know many things about you. Let's have a discussion. Let's engage with one another. Yeah, thanks for listening. And as always, it's all love. God bless.
Show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I've been riding, wave like I surf. I've been leaning in and out of work. I could show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher, man.